Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road. This is a weekly series where we go through science and tech news with a bit of dry humor. Then we answer some questions from y'all. Today is the 18th of February 2025, and on this date in 1930, Pluto was discovered. The name Pluto was suggested by an 11-year-old girl in the UK, whose grandfather sent the suggestion to Lowell Observatory. So, starting off with tech news. The best way to beat that level you're stuck on in a video game is to go to sleep and come back later. Your brain engages in the consolidation of new skills while you're sleeping, so while the research was on video games, it'll apply to most things. A new recycling process is allowing wind turbine blades to be turned into road paving materials. A promising new tech might be able to remove CO2 from the air and turn it into sustainable fuels. The concept is based on photosynthesis, and the tech could be used to make fake trees. I feel like I've seen something like this in the Lorax. Lab-created super diamonds are about 40% harder than the real thing. And now on to space. A former Paralympian has been cleared for International Space Station missions. I'm pretty sure this is the first astronaut with a disability. China has started recruiting for planetary defense. This may or may not have to do with the asteroid. Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. We're going to see sub-zero temperatures throughout large portions of the United States. It looks like we'll see them through the 21st. Stay warm, and if you lose power, remember, it's easier to keep a small area warm than a large area. Tents inside or turn your kitchen table into a pillow fort. Trump is lashing out at offshore wind farms in a way that could damage U.S. energy for decades to come. This is more random conservation news that people should be aware of. The National Park Service is losing a lot of employees to Trump's purge of civil servants. Don't expect your next trip to a national park to be the same as pre-purge experiences. Hundreds of millions in cleaner energy grants have been frozen by the Trump administration, risking the investments, infrastructure, and jobs. Governments around the world are throwing money at declining birth rates, but it's not working. Hey, I have this very strange idea. Let's create a world people want to bring children into. In the world of animals, an ornate, cat-eyed snake, which is normally found in Central America, was found in New Hampshire after it apparently hitched a ride in a shipment of bananas. It is a venomous snake, but it normally isn't fatal, and the snake isn't normally very bitey. A fish species thought to be extinct for more than 80 years was found to be inhabiting a river in India. The fish is apparently so common there that it has entered the diet of some locals. Alaska is trying to determine its state dinosaur. Maybe this should be in oddities. In health news, the U.S. National Institutes of Health is seeing a series of new regulations and cutbacks that will cause major issues and set health research back years. The FDA gave a conditional approval for a bird flu vaccine for poultry. I'm waiting for those opposed to vaccines to stop eating chicken and eggs now. Minnesota has declared a state of emergency over diseases on commercial farms. The measles outbreak in Texas is ongoing, with some estimates suggesting that more than 100 are infected. After reviewing some social media posts, I feel the need to say that measles is something that carries a lot of risks. Now let's dig up the past a little. Researchers are learning a bit about the mummification process used by Egyptians by smelling mummies. There's no punchline on that one. That's really what's happening. Apparently, some mummies smell, quote, spicy. The research is providing insight into what materials were used in the mummification process. Science. It's weirder than you think. A fossil that is believed to be about 180 million years old reportedly shows that plesiosaurs had scales. And now on to oddities. A study found that humans will not be able to survive on Earth in about 250 million years due to a combination of different factors. It is absolutely adorable that somewhere there are people who believe humanity could stick around that long. A man from an isolated indigenous community in Brazil made contact with outsiders. They believed he was asking for fire, but there's some debate over that. It is possible the man is from a previously uncontacted indigenous culture. And now we're going to answer some of your questions.
Dana, I just read that asteroid might hit the moon instead. The article just said it would be visible from Earth, but didn't include anything saying we would or wouldn't be hurt. Know anything about this?
So I think we need to start with this. Even if the asteroid was to make a direct impact on Earth, this is not a planet killer. There are a lot of sensational headlines out there about this. We aren't doomed even if it hits us. There would also likely be plenty of time to evacuate the area of impact ahead of time. It would be costly and damaging if it was to strike a populated area, but it's not a planet killer. If it strikes the moon, which currently has less than 0.5% chance, we would see it, but it's unlikely we would suffer any effects at all. The other thing to remember is that we will have much better information as the researchers do their thing this month.
Hey, can you explain what a polar vortex is? I'm sitting here in negative 30-degree weather and realized I have no idea what causes this. Explain it like I'm 5.
So, in weather terms, a polar vortex is a large area of low pressure that is also cold that is pretty much always present at the poles. Occasionally, it breaks out and expands, and cold air comes south with the jet stream. In 5-year-old terms, it's literally just polar weather blowing down to where you live. Just as a little public service announcement, if you're experiencing those kinds of temperatures, make sure you check the chart to see how quickly frostbite can occur.
I've heard international affairs people say we are pulling back from leading. I've heard economists say we are pulling back from leading. I've heard health experts say we are pulling back from leading. Is the U.S. really going to fall behind in scientific research under Trump?
Fall behind is probably not great terminology, but Trump's current policies mean we won't be as far ahead as we could have been when it comes to research in a bunch of fields.
I've been reading a lot about the inner core of the Earth. What is it made of?
There's a lot of new information that suggests it's more liquid than previously believed. The answer is we don't really know. There's still a lot of mystery surrounding it. Science doesn't have all the answers yet, but it has all the questions, and those are more interesting anyway. There will be continued research, and we'll learn more as time goes on. That looks like all the questions for this week. This week's quote is attributed to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I knew Pluto was popular among elementary school kids, but I had no idea they would mobilize into a Save Pluto campaign. I now have a drawer full of hate letters from hundreds of elementary school children, with supportive cover letters from their science teachers pleading with me to reverse my stance on Pluto. The file includes a photograph of the entire 3rd grade of a school posing on their front steps and holding up a banner proclaiming, "Dr. Tyson, Pluto is a planet." So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.